On the 7 Up Front segment tonight, in this season of Advent in the Christian Church, the Most Reverend Allen Vigneron, the Archbishop of Detroit and leader of the 1.3 million Catholics in southeast Michigan. Archbishop Vigneron, it's good to see you. We thank you for joining us tonight.
Great to be with you. Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Let's begin with Advent, the expectation and the anticipation of Christ's birth leading to Christmas. This year, of course, it's happening in a global pandemic that continues to rage.
Yes, it's a Christmas like none of us has ever experienced before, and it's an opportunity then to call on God's help and to help one another, to keep one another encouraged and keep our hopes up. Especially, I was just listening to the segment with your news about the second vaccine. That's all very, very good news for us.
Can you speak to the year in general, and for starters, just how difficult it has been for the church with public masses suspended early on and limitations on gathering size still in place for masses?
Well, what we've really tried to do is respond on two levels. One, the level of spiritual need, and the other, material need. And very early on, we were able to use electronic media in order to have people be engaged in prayer, even though they were still at home. That's been very important. And of course, now that we can, though the numbers are limited, have people back in church, we're seeing people appreciate that all the more. Other forms of spiritual help we've tried to put on our website, various media outlets, words of encouragement, experiences. Being on Zoom together is no real, fully a substitute for being in person, but we're using all of those means we can. In terms of material response, this is hitting people very, very hard. I see all the data in the media about the increase in people's going to food banks. We're experiencing that ourselves. And I'm very grateful for the way so many communities and so many people have responded.
In the face of all the disruption and despair caused by the pandemic, what is your message and message of hope for believers, for the faithful, that better days are indeed ahead?
Well, there is just one thing that we need to be in touch with, which is our natural resiliency as the American people. And then beyond that, there is the gift of grace, which we who are disciples of Jesus bring to our community. We have confidence that God is with us. He'll give us strength. He'll reinforce our optimism and turn it into hope. And that even, my message is that even in the trial, there can be a grace, perhaps the grace of new bonds, the grace of finding a new way to connect to people. God's with us, and he's never going away again.
To some church business now, there are ongoing challenges in the Archdiocese with a shortage of priests, of course. A restructuring of to families of parishes has recently been announced. Is that about sharing of resources, and how do you see it helping the Catholic Church in Southeast Michigan moving forward?
Well, it's really the latest strategy we're entertaining to continue on a path we started almost 6 years ago, what Pope Francis calls a band of missionary disciples. During COVID, it's become very clear to us that we're going to have decreased resources, certainly in priest personnel, but also in material resources. And so it's by combining resources, combining the parishes into families so that there can be mutual support, particularly of the priests, but of the lay ministers in the parish and the whole parish, all the parish families be able to work together. And we feel it's not just an organizational strategy, it's about being better equipped to go on mission. Like all the other institutions in our community, we have to get back to core mission, and then we can move forward on that basis.
And finally, what would be your hope for 2021?
Well, certainly my hope is that the vaccine will prove very effective and we'll all be able to get back to some semblance of normalcy. But I also hope that the damage that's been done, particularly to human relationships, will be able to be repaired. That we'll come to God and get from Him the help we need in order to hold ourselves together, to bind ourselves back together in these relationships that have been frayed.
I think we're all looking forward to the return to normalcy. Archbishop Vigneron, we thank you for your time tonight. Merry Christmas, and I hope it's a great holiday season in the church. We need that.
And that to all of the listeners, my prayer for a really blessed and joyful Christmas, and congratulations to my Jewish brothers and sisters for Hanukkah.
Indeed. Archbishop Vigneron, thank you, sir.